Hello and welcome to the spiritguides.co.uk network radio show with your host Mark Chatterton. Tonight we are privileged to have on the show Lorna Byrne from Ireland. Lorna is well known for the fact that she can see and talk to angels, an ability which she has had since she was a baby. She has written 2 books about her life and how the angels help her. The first is Angels in My Hair, which came out in 2008 and which has become a bestseller all over the world and has been translated into over 20 different languages. The second book, Stairways to Heaven, has recently been published, and it looks like it's going to have the same success as Angels in My Hair. So, welcome, Lorna.
Thank you, Mark. My pleasure to talk with you.
Right, I'd like to start first, because I know you've just come back from a trip to America. How did your trip go?
It went very well. I done a speaking event over there and loads of interviews, and just America is it's astonishing to me. It's the new world. Like, the people are just becoming more and more open, more and more vibrant over there. In a sense, the only way I can describe it is like the new race, because people forget that God has had gathering angels, gathering people from all around the world to one country, and that is to America. It is of all mixed races and all beliefs. So in a sense, it is becoming the new race, and yet we're all part of it. They're just so different from ourselves here in Europe, but yet when people from Europe emigrate over there, they become part of. That's the only way I can explain it.
From both your books, you've told us a lot about angels and your relationship to them. Not only can you see them, but at times you hold hands with them as if they were humans. Are you aware of any other people in the world who have the same gifts as you, or would you say that you're pretty unique?
I don't know anyone else, and I have always been asking God and the angels, is there anyone else? And so far I have been told no. So I know there is no one else at the moment. I would love that there was, because I would love to meet someone else that sees angels physically as I do. If you and I were in the same room, we'd be seeing each other physically, and that's the way I would see your guardian angel or any other angels that would be around you. And I do know that young children see angels as well, but they're very, very young because they have just come from heaven.
Yes, because that was my next question, actually. I was going to say that you say that children can see angels when they're very young, yet as they grow into adults, they lose this ability. Would it be possible if a child had parents who believed in angels and they nurtured them in this belief as the child grew older, would the child be able to keep this ability to see angels as they became an adult?
I do believe that. I believe once the parents would nurture it in the way naturally, not to be forcing it on the child. It's like, making the child aware that they have a guardian angel, and the child knowing then that there's no fear to say that my angel, said I wasn't to go and down by the river today, and then for the parents to listen and say that's okay, but not to make a big fuss about it.
Yeah.
It's where parents would make a huge fuss then that most children would close down, because they know that the parents are wanting them to tell them things that are not true, and that is hard for a child as well.
Yeah. Would you say it's possible that adults see angels as physical people in the street every day who look like humans, but they're there helping certain people at all, and they don't realise that they're angels?
Well, you hear about that all over the world, and I can only say to you, at times, when an angel is with me, that they have made themselves so physically human, in appearance, that people have made a mistake and said hello to them. So yes, people have said hello to angels. I think maybe for people to be, that bit more aware that if they see someone that is just so perfect looking, because they are perfect, even in what they would be dressed in, and the clothes and all of that, So it would be just to be that little bit more conscious. And angels, human angels, gives us messages many times. It's just another way of expressing it.
Would you say that there will be a day when humans can see angels with their own eyes eventually?
I know that day will come. I know God has shown me some of the futures of man, some of the good and the bad, and that is one of the good ones. And if we keep on, allowing ourselves to grow spiritually and to believe a little bit more, we will get there. And that is, one of those futures. I have seen children, talking with a guardian angel, seeing them physically like I do, and even the parents seeing them physically, and the communication going between, adults, children, and even the guardian angel. So that will happen one day, and please God, man will make all the right decisions for us to go in that direction.
You tell us that angels are sometimes mischievous and imitate people that they're next to. Does it mean that they've got feelings like humans at all?
I never see an angel, what would you say, being angry or cross or anything like that. They do imitate people, and really that is to cheer them up. It's to help to cheer a person up, to make them lighter. And sometimes, it was for me, myself, the angels would just do that. And it can be very comical, and I do have to be careful in case somebody catches me looking and maybe smiling or starting to laugh, because the person might think I'm laughing at them or smiling at them, but it would be the angel as well that I would be watching, imitating them. It's a beautiful thing to see.
Yeah.
And please God, we get to that future quicker than what I believe it will happen.
The subject of angels seems to have become big business over the past few years. There's numerous books on angels, angel CDs, angel cards, angel workshops, for example. There's even a World Angel Day. Is there a danger that the subject of angels is getting too commercialised and the real message of the angels is getting lost in all this, do you think?
Well, that is what we have to be so careful of, and I suppose this is why God and the angels chose the time for myself to write, because you have to remember I've seen them since I was an infant, since I opened my eyes, and, I was considered retarded as a child, and I couldn't read or write. And it is God that has chosen this time. The angels used to say I would write about them, and it was the angel Michael that came up behind me one day and said, Lorna, while I was feeling the palm of my young daughter in it, it's time for you to write. And I just laughed at him and I said, listen, I can't read or write properly. How on earth does God and you angels, expect me to write? And he just said help would be sent, and that's exactly what happened. It is becoming, I can't actually pronounce that word, commercialized.
Yeah.
And you just have to be very, very careful. I'm just doing what God and the angels have asked me to do, to help to wake people up, spiritually, to help them to realize that they have a guardian angel that never leaves them for 1 second, that no one is ever alone, and that your guardian angel is the gatekeeper of your soul, and that, it's only a human body that dies, you actually live. And that message alone within the book is has given great hope to people, even children. I hear children, coming and saying, now I really know I have a guardian angel and I'm not alone. And even if they're being bullied in school, they ask, their guardian angel to ask the other child's guardian angel to help. And they say it works. I do know it works. And that is wonderful when even the young and even older people are starting to acknowledge that there's more to us than just flesh and blood and material things. That life is so precious, and life is the most important thing, is to live life.
I was going to say, in Angels in My Hair, you describe the experience of dying and going to heaven with your unborn child, but you were told that you had to come back to Earth. I don't suppose words could describe that experience, but would you say that was the most important thing that's ever happened to you?
I would say to you was one of the most important things, and having my child in my arms, and handing it to that beautiful angel that wouldn't allow me go any further. all those experiences are so precious, and they're indescribable, and I would only try and describe them as close as possible. And I know I will see my little baby again. Yeah. But my baby won't be a baby as such, in that way. And I know my child is around me every time, I think of them. And it's the same for every mother out there, that loses a child or miscarries or anything like that. One of the things the angels loves to hear people say is that my child or my loved one is an angel in heaven. And the angels say it's a beautiful expression of love, but we must remember that our loved one isn't an angel. Your loved one is a soul, which is more than any angel, because every soul is that little speck of light of God, and that is very, very important. That's what makes us spiritual. That's the part of us, that lives forever. And that's the important thing to remember. And the angels just love to be in our presence. And that's another reason why your guardian angel never leaves you for 1 second, because it's in that presence of that little bit of light of God. And that's what your soul is. So every loved one is more than any angel, because angels are only creatures that God created.
I was at your talk in London in September at Alternatives, and someone asked you the question about what's the difference between spirit guides and angels, and I think you said that they were the same. Is that right? It
is, yes. How can I explain? It's different cultures, and if people might call an angel a spirit guide, or might even say, the one that guides me is my grandmother. But your grandmother isn't an angel. It's a soul, and you have to remember, it's your guardian angel that allows in other angels around you, as well as the souls of loved ones around you as well. But they come and go. And yes, different cultures would call them different names. So yes, I was brought up a Catholic, and they say they call themselves angels. And they are just so beautiful, so undescribable in one sense, only for the human appearance they give within themselves.
You say that angels sometimes intervene in human affairs, like saving a person from being hurt in a car crash, for instance. Is that not interfering with that person's free will, would you say?
No, I wouldn't say it is. It is in the sense, what way would I say it? This person is meant to live. It's like, someone is in a car crash, and you would often hear people say, how did I get out of that car and walk away? And the car is in bits. It is, again, because it's not your time to go. So they do everything to protect you so that you don't go before your time.
When bad things happen to a person, such as being attacked in some way, people are going to say, why don't the angels intervene to stop that person getting hurt?
I know that's one question that so many people ask all the time. And all that I can say to people is that they do interact to try and protect you from getting hurt. You could have been, at a pub, maybe out having a drink, and you could, just get a feeling inside of you, whatever way your angel communicates with you, that you should leave now, or don't drink anymore. It can be various things, but most of the time we ignore those warnings. It's just like, you could be told to turn right, but instead you go left. You just say, "Oh no, that's silly." And they're great teachers, and they do protect us, but most of the time we don't listen, we do the opposite. And it is to try and say to yourself, well, next time I'll go right when I get that strong feeling, whatever way your angel communicates with you, just kind of do it. And I'm hearing from people now all over the world saying that they're doing that more and more, and it's actually making life easier. And it is saving them from different things. It could be, the guardian angel gives you a strong feeling, that you're to slow down when you're driving your car. In that way, you should actually slow down. Some people would say, well, I slowed down and nothing happened. But that's the thing, nothing happened because you did slow down.
Yeah. Would you say there's any truth in the belief that there's an angel hierarchy with archangels, dominions, principalities, power, etc., the further up you go?
The only way I can explain that, I know Michael, the angel Michael is an archangel, but they don't, well, for myself, they have never shown, authority in that way, the way we would think, the way with generals and the police and, like the president and all of that. They just seem to work in such harmony. It's like, they know the angel Michael is an archangel, but there's no squibbles or squall, that kind of thing. I just see them working in harmony all of the time. But there is rank as such, but not in the way that we humanly believe it should be. Everything is beyond our comprehension.
Yeah. Apart from seeing angels, you can also see the spirits of people who have died. Could you explain how they differ from the angels that you see?
How can I say that? The spirit of someone, of a soul, I suppose the best would be to explain, my little brother, when I was a young child,
Yeah.
I would play with him and all of that. And at times, he would be an infant in my mom's arms when she would be asleep in the chair. And as a young child, I never questioned that. To me, that seemed normal. And one day when I was playing with him, we actually touched in front of the fire. And his hand went into mine, or mine went into his, and it just sparkled. And I just laughed. It was actually beautiful. And that was the time they told me my little brother was a soul. He was perfect. And he was more beautiful than the angels. It's so, and I still see him to this day, on different occasions, when he comes back, just to let me know he's fine, or to give a message to my mom. His soul is just so beautiful. It's just like even my husband's soul when he was very ill and his soul sat up, out of his body. The soul fills every part of the body, and it's so crystal clear. It's so perfect. I actually don't have words to describe the soul. I'm searching for words. It's so unique, so beautiful. And all as I can say, even that time when my husband's soul sat up out of his body, the angel said, "I must not touch."
Mm-hmm.
And I would have loved to have touched. Just to see what maybe it felt like, But I could see everything of my husband within the soul, but it was perfect. And just so beautiful. You don't have words. I haven't found words yet to describe the soul. I'm still searching, because the soul is more beautiful than any angel. And yet angels are absolutely beautiful. And I find it so hard to describe them, only for the human appearance they give within themselves.
Many people experience seeing the same numbers on clocks and their mobile phones, like 1111 or 2222. Some people have said that it's the angels letting us know that they're here with us. Have you any thoughts on that at all?
Well, angels let us know that they're here with us, loads of different ways. Sometimes, it would be numbers, or sometimes it would even be a feather. Is that what you mean? Like a sign for a person.
That's right.
Yeah, sometimes people, even for myself at times, when I'd be sitting maybe doing this interview and I know there's angels behind me, they might start, dimming the light, just letting me know that they're right behind me. They do all kinds of things. Sometimes they can even give a person, on their hand. Sometimes people would say to me, their finger would go all tingly, and they know that that's their angel right there beside them. And the angels pull my hair. They're always doing it.
Hence the title of your book.
Angels in my hair, yeah. They give people just so many different signs, and it can even be a bird or out of the blue, an angel can get an animal, a small animal or even a big animal, to come into your garden and sit there and allow you to watch it, or even into your home. They know what you need. that will give you comfort. But sometimes we don't notice these signs. We don't say, why did, that animal hop into my garden and, just look at me and nibble on the grass, and, that has never happened before in my life. It is just to think of, what you're actually going through, and they're actually giving you a sign. I'd meet people who would say, I've been asking for signs and signs. I always remember meeting this woman, and she came to a book signing. And, when she had left after queuing for something like 5 hours, she said she only saw me for 2 minutes. She got into a taxi, to the train station, and the taxi driver asked her where had she been. And she said, at the book signing. And he turned around and said, oh, I have her phone number. The only taxi driver in the whole of Ireland that has my phone number. She got into that taxi.
Yeah.
And he gave it to her. And she rang me. And I don't usually answer my phone unless the angels say I'm to answer it. And they told me to answer it for that phone call. And it was her. And she still couldn't see the signs.
Yeah.
That was a miracle, in that way. It is to awaken ourselves and to see the signs and to see the hope there.
Right. One phenomenon that has happened over the past few years with people using digital cameras is that on the pictures they see the presence of orbs in the photos. Are these angels or spirits, as some people suggest?
I would say some of them. Sometimes an angel will give the sign of an orb if someone needs it, needs that hope, needs that faith within themselves. But sometimes it's just the camera itself, or it can be just energy. It depends on what's happening within that person's life. Not all of the time, but a lot of the time, I would say as well. I don't take photographs, so they have never done it for me as such. So I just say to the angels sometimes, well, maybe I should start taking photographs, but you tell me not to bother.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what the results would be.
Would indeed.
Yeah. I'd just like to mention your book Stairways to Heaven, because you talk about an angel called Jimazen. Is that right? How you pronounce it?
Yeah.
Who's you say is the gatekeeper of the earth, and he's constantly trying to control Mother Earth because of what humans are doing to the planet. With the question of the environment and everything, there'll be a lot of people listening tonight who will be saying, what can I do to help the planet? I feel so helpless with all these big corporations taking over and exploiting the planet for their own ends. What would you say to them?
Well, I would say to them, we all have to help the angel Jimison, so we actually need to stand up and be counted, because he's a beautiful angel, and, even scares me when I see him, because he's so emotional in so many ways to calm Mother Earth and to keep this earth safe for us all. Is to stand up and be counted, and, even a sweet paper, recycle, do everything you can, and don't cut down trees unless you absolutely have to. If a factory close to you or a big multinationals are putting stuff into the water, it's like, you have to, put your name on a piece of paper and sign it and say you don't want this. You have to speak up and be counted, because one of the futures that God has shown me is where, and it's not a good future. It's where this earth has become, so dry, where Mother Earth had to move herself so much to try and keep the planet alive because of all of the things we are doing. So we have to, when a hole is made in the earth, we need to fill it back in, and we have to stop polluting our rivers. There is so much we can do, each and every one of us, and we all make a difference.
So you basically do something, don't do nothing, do something.
Do something, anything, even make, the young children, conscious of, keeping a place clean and recycling stuff, and, not destroying the plants or the animals, because, as I said, in that future, there is no plants or no animals, there is so few, and we don't want the children of the future to say, why didn't they stop this from happening? Why do I not have flowers and trees like what we have now?
Yeah.
We have to remember the children of the future, not just the children now, but the children of the future.
Also in Stairways to Heaven, you tell us about souls who have reincarnated back to Earth. You say that it's quite unusual for souls to reincarnate, as most souls want to stay in heaven when they get there. So when people go through the process of past life regression and they say they've had several past lives, is this not true then?
I don't think it's as true as much as people are saying, because I have to tell people the truth, and I only can tell them what I see. And I haven't seen it in great abundance, but yet I do see it. And I have seen it more, maybe a bit now, more as such because I'm travelling. But still, it is really very, very rare. And one reason I would say maybe people would think that they have a past life, when they actually don't, is because at different times, at times I have seen, from the time I was a young child, I would see with an infant, a newly born infant, I would see a soul. Just these beautiful souls that constantly stand beside an infant that has been born, and they're speaking to them constantly and telling them of their life and giving them strength and of character for this infant. And I know sometimes that is what happens, that sometimes the infant remembers. And, a young child might speak of something, and then the parents turn around and say, oh, well, that must have been a past life. How could the child describe that in such detail? You have to remember, you have to live this life. This is the life that's important, nothing else.
Right. 2010 has been a difficult year for the people of Ireland. Have you anything to say to our Irish listeners about what is going to happen in Ireland next year?
Well, I would say to the Irish and, to the whole world to remember that there is great hope. I know we're going to get through this, and, what is happening at the moment, with money and all material, it is only all material things, and it is a wake-up call, what has happened, to help us to realize that there is more to life than just material things. And I'd hear from so many people saying, it has been a wake-up call. Now they realize, that there's, once they have their wife and their children or their family or their friends, that is more important. And we'll get through this. All of this will be sorted out. And it all had to do with greed. People wanting more and more. You have to remember you can't take any material thing to heaven with you. Only your soul, only all your memories and your love and even your hurt. And we have to share it. So it is a wake-up call. This is what has happened to wake us back up thinking, to stop us thinking that life is only about material things. It's not.
Right.
We'll get through this.
Yeah.
I want people to smile now and be happy. We'll get through this. And people will look back and say, it wasn't that hard, we only thought it was. We still have to keep prices down. We can't, I know if man wants to put prices way back up like the way they did for property and stuff like that, if we go back to that, it's going to collapse 10 times worse.
Yeah.
So the people of Ireland and all around the world, we just can't allow that to happen. So we can't allow the multinational companies to rule everything. We have to say no, and the Irish people are doing that, and I know they're doing it in England as well. They're standing up and being counted.
Yeah. Going on from there, a lot of people are talking about the year 2012 and saying it's going to be the end of an era or perhaps the start of a new one. Do you see any significance in the year 2012, or would you say that people are reading too much into it?
I have asked the angels about that, and they tell me not to worry. We're actually going through it. It is the wake-up call. It is what's happening now, and it may get a little worse before it gets better, but that depends on us, on how much we wake up. So the angels don't have me worried about it. I just pray and ask that people just listen and grow spiritually, because you have to remember this is what is happening. It is part of evolution as well, of the body and soul.
Because that's the next question I was going to ask you, actually. In Stairways to Heaven, you mentioned that one of the possible futures is that the human body and the soul are to become one. Could you explain a little bit more about this concept?
The way I can explain it is, the human body and the soul actually become one. It is that the human body becomes perfect.
Yeah.
They're both joined together. It doesn't get sick or anything like that. I'd have to smile because, nobody is overweight or nobody is underweight. We're actually perfect because the soul and the body has joined together, has become one. And imagine that beauty. Imagine that perfectness. I know I'm not going to be around when that happens. I'd love to be, because then that would mean to be very, very close. That is one of the futures of man, where man becomes so perfect in that way, and makes this earth that little glimpse of heaven. And it is the time where God says, well, do you want to leave or do you want to stay? Because God will never take his children unless we say so when we get to that stage.
So would you say that with this, that will be heaven on earth eventually?
Yes, it would be heaven on earth for as long as, well, a glimpse of it. It wouldn't be fully, but it would be a big portion of it, because we would have made this world so perfect, and we ourselves would become so perfect, but yet we would still be enjoying life. It would be totally different.
I know that some of the things you say, you've had a bit of opposition to what you're saying from other people. How do you deal with that?
I actually don't mind, because people have to remember I can only tell you what God and the angels have shown me all my life and what they have taught me. I actually can't tell you anything else. Sometimes if somebody says to me, well, we have always believed, that was round, and now you're, Lorna, saying it's square or it's oval. I still have to say it's square or it's oval. I can't say it's round if I'm not being shown it's round.
Yeah.
It's just like when my editor at one stage said, Lorna, we never knew angels' feet don't touch the ground. You have to remember, for me, it's just so natural. It's only when somebody would ask a question, I said, oh God, I thought everybody knew that. It was only when the editor had said it, I realized that no, everybody doesn't.
Obviously, with the success of your books, you've started to travel to different countries all around the world. Are there any particular countries that you'd like to visit if you could?
Well, to me, the world is one big country.
Yeah.
Because you have to remember, I haven't been educated, and I have enjoyed America. I have enjoyed being over in England. There is just so much beauty in every country that I've gone to, and that's why I call the world one big country. There's so much beauty in everything of every culture. I'm just so amazed at it. And one of the most beautiful things is that the angels are all the same, no matter where I go. And that is beautiful, and every human being's soul is the same as well, and it's just so wonderful, to see the light of the guardian angel and angels around people, no matter what part of the world I'm in, and just to watch sometimes, the angels helping a person, even crossing the road, or whispering into a person's ear, and giving them the confidence they need. It's just so wonderful, but yet it's so natural for me.
I know that your book, Stairways to Heaven, is going to be released in America next year. What sort of plans have you got ready for 2011? Any particular places you're going to go to at all?
I know I'm going to be going over. God, this is the part I'm not very good at. This is definitely the part I'm not. Because to me, the world is just one country. I know I will be going back to the States, but I think it's New Zealand and that,
All right, you're going right across the world to the other side.
Yeah. I'm going to be visited because I've been asked over, and by the publishers and all of that, because the people want me over there to, to sign the books and to talk, and I know they must have so many questions as well. It's just that both books at the moment are just giving so much hope to people, and it doesn't matter where they're from. Even when I hear from people saying, from China or Japan, that they have the book, that is beautiful to hear, and how you hear that it has changed their lives, has given them back hope. That's what life is about. I used to say to the angels, if the book would have one person in the world, I actually would have been very happy. I probably would have sat back and said, that's great, but it's just helping, both books are just helping so many people, and of all religions, even I hear from priests and nuns and even rabbis and ministers, and they're saying, keep up the good work, don't give up at all, you have given us back faith.
Yeah.
And that's beautiful to hear.
That's good. Presumably you've got a third book eventually coming out. Would that happen next year, or we have to wait a bit longer for that?
I think you still have to wait a bit longer. God hasn't, and the angels have me so busy. I don't know how I can fit everything.
No.
That's what I just say. How am I going to fit all this in? But I'll be starting the third book after the Christmas.
Yeah. Okay. One final question. Obviously, with Christmas coming up, is there a message you'd like to leave with everyone listening?
Yes, I would love people just to remember that God pours out angels at this time of the year onto the earth, and from the time I was a little child, I used to see angels fly over homes and drop balls of light, and they would just explode. And I never told anyone about another angel I just see, very broad, very big, male, it's like male masculine angel, dressed in a cloak, but with the little gold threads, and you see the light of that angel. And I just see that angel like walking down a mountain. It's the only way I can describe it, not like other angels coming here so fast or falling here so fast, but just walking down and walking among the people. And the guardian angels are that don't speak to them, but yet there's a communication there, and the guardian angels and other angels know why they're there, and they're here for Christmas. They're here at this time of the year, and they touch everyone, giving back, that hope that we all need, that little speck that we all need, and they touch people's souls as they walk by. It's just beautiful to see. It's like, they have this enormous hand, and I've never described this part, and, they touch. It's like it goes into the human body and touches the soul. It's absolutely beautiful to see. I would just ask people to make sure, because one of the most important messages the angels are giving is to make sure that nobody is alone this Christmas. And the first thing people should do is look into their family and see, is there anyone in their family that is alone this Christmas? And then out into your neighbourhood, because we don't want to hear this Christmas that people have committed suicide because they were alone. So a little gesture of even a card to someone, or, that smile and inviting them over for a cup of tea, anything. Just make sure no one is alone this Christmas, man, woman or child.
Well, thank you very much, Lorna, for your time and for all that you've said tonight. And wish you very well for next year, and I'm sure you're going to have much success with the message of the angels, and wish you well. Thank you very much.
I wish you well, and a happy Christmas as well.
Happy Christmas
and a great New Year. Okay, both of you, and Ian as well.
Okay.
Okay, God bless.
God
Bye-bye.
God bless you.
Bye-bye.